Hi guys, welcome back. Let's budget my paycheck together. If you're new to my channel, my name is Allison. I'm 29 years old. I work part-time in healthcare and also as a content creator. I like to post a lot of videos about my personal finances, how I've been budgeting, how I pay off my debt, and also just life in my late 20s, moving into my 30s, showing you guys the real, the raw, maybe helping somebody along the way. I'm not like a financial expert or anything at all. I honestly just started to take my finances more seriously 2 to 3 years ago when I really wanted to start paying off my debt. And that's kind of how I started getting into this journey and posting about it on TikTok originally. And now we've moved to doing these videos more long form style where I kind of break down how I'm budgeting, why certain money is going certain places. I find it fun. I find it enjoyable. I'm nosy, so I like watching other people's videos like this. So if you clicked on this video just because you're nosy, then welcome. I am getting into the nitty-gritty numbers of my paycheck. So as always, I like to give a little bit of a background. Again, I do work part-time in healthcare. I roughly work 24 hours a week because I'm 3 days a week. So for a pay period, it's 48 hours because we get paid every 2 weeks. And I'm also hourly. So it does vary just slightly week to week because sometimes I work a little bit extra. I usually always at least round up to 48. So this is the paycheck that I got paid on Friday, April 18th. And as I mentioned, roughly 48 hours for 2 weeks. My take-home pay after taxes and I was going to say healthcare, but I actually am on my husband's benefits. So mostly just after taxes and like all that good stuff gets taken out. My take-home pay is $1,562.52. And then I had $41.52 carry over from my last paycheck. Total, if we add those together to budget with, I have $1,604.08. So let's get into the fun stuff. First thing always is rent. So I'm gonna put aside $400 for my rent. Last paycheck I saved $450, so that means total I have $850 to pay on May 1st for May's rent. Typically what I do is just kind of move it into my like regular savings account until it gets closer to the first of the month. Like it's still only April 18th, so I won't pay it just yet, but like usually a few days before the first I will send in the payment. But I like to again kind of keep it separate in like my regular savings instead of leaving it in my checking account so it doesn't look like I have that much to spend. I like to keep my like spending checking account relatively low. Then into my savings I did put $50, and this is specifically going into a sinking fund for a bachelorette / like wedding sinking fund because it's wedding season and I've already spent quite a bit of money because I'm in a wedding for one of my friends, and then we're going to a wedding next month, so I needed a dress because I literally have nothing and nothing fits. I needed a dress for like a bridesmaid dress. We're doing a bachelorette, so I already kind of know what that price is going to be, so I've been trying to save a little bit for that each paycheck as I know it's getting closer. And then I just found out the cost for like hair and makeup, so I need to save for that. And again, that was the money that I was typically putting in my emergency fund, but I just feel like I have a lot of expenses coming up. I just need to kind of pause that for now because again, I feel like it's at a good spot at the moment. I built it back up. Last year I did have to spend some of it because I got hit by a deer on my way to work. So I did have to spend some of that on my car. Now I'm kind of back up to a good amount where I would have enough for sure for anything that could come up, and then I could like rebuild it again. But maybe closer to the end of the year, my goal is to start putting more back towards my emergency fund to build that up even more. And then into our joint savings account, which is pretty much our down payment house saving fund, I put $150. And into our grocery account, I put $125. It's kind of confusing. I feel like it's hard because we have so many different accounts, which is why I know a lot of people really like combining finances. It's actually not that confusing. I just make it sound like they're all different accounts, but really all of the savings is in a high yield savings account and it's all together, just separated. Like even our house saving fund, like that's in we use Ally. If you're looking for a high yield savings account, I do really like Ally. But if I have any referral links for anything, I do leave them down below. So I do use Ally. and we keep a lot of our like big savings in there because you get interest on any money that sits in there. So every month we actually get money for that money just sitting in there. But it is all together. When I say separate account, like it just means they're like buckets. Even within my own accounts, when like I keep my money separate, it's really just like the same account, just split between like checking and savings. So I do have a lot of accounts, but like it's not too many and it makes sense to me. My everyday account and then like long-term account, and then within those they're kind of split up. Yeah, and then our grocery account's really just a separate checking account that we both share so that we can put money in for groceries and things for around the house, and both have a debit card that we can use for that, which I'm assuming we'll start using that for more than just groceries at some point. We were just sick of like sending money back and forth to each other or being like, oh, I'll pay this time, you pay that time. So that's been working great. The rest of our expenses other than groceries, like we just figure out like who's paying for what. Like it's not a big deal. I have 4 subscriptions during these next 2 weeks. First is our Blink subscription, which is just a camera system that we use for around the house. That is $10.60 a month. Then I have my Book of the Month subscription, which I love. I did skip last month, so I have an extra credit, but they will always charge you every month, even if you skip. But then you just have credits build up. So anyway, I do love Book of the Month. I just have a lot of physical books that I need to get through. So that's $18.01. And I could pause that too if I want to, but I would like to see what books are on the list this month. Sometimes, I think last month it was also just like none of them were really speaking to me as books that I wanted to read. Again, I do have a referral for Book of the Month as well if you're interested in that. Any referral codes I have, I will leave them down below. I love Book of the Month. I stand by this. I don't mind paying for that one because I get an actual physical item from that subscription. The rest is all just, unfortunately, you're paying to like use the product. Anyway, Spotify is $11.99 a month and Canva is $15 a month, which I actually don't know. That one I might have canceled. I think the price went up for that, so I do think I possibly canceled that. I'd have to check. If I keep that in, the total for my subscriptions is $55.60. Love subscriptions. Then for pets, I'm gonna budget $65 because I'm gonna buy cat litter and cat food during the next 2 weeks. The cat litter did already come out, so that was $30.14. Next is my car insurance, which is $141.68, which is lower than I was paying before. It still seems high, but it's lower. And that's actually not until the 4th of May, but I'm gonna save it from this paycheck just because I think my next paycheck I kind of have a lot of things that are coming out at the same time, so I had room in this paycheck to like set that aside. This is like the reason why I like writing everything down on my notes app. It's like the 18th and I don't have to pay that until the 4th. That's a long time. If I didn't like have these things like written out exactly what is coming out for what, I could potentially like spend that money by accident or just like not remember like, oh yeah, shoot, like my car insurance is coming out. That's why this has been a great system for me, and like I have it literally right there on my phone like at all times. So then the next thing that I'm gonna budget for is like our phone bill. It's phone, internet, and gym. This is the one that I kind of pay my husband a little bit for these bills just because it's in his name. We like to have at least a bill, like one bill in each of our names, just for like, if you know, like when you go to like fill out anything or like change your license or whatever, they need like 18 documents to prove that you're who you are and you live where you live. His name's on those bills, but to help him out while he's paying off his student loans and debt, I've been like paying some of the bills. Typically I would pay him $250, but because I also only work part-time, we moved that to $150 just because, like, as I mentioned, this was a little bit lower of a paycheck for me. Those are for the bills in May. So again, that's something I just wait and pay him on the 1st, kind of like rent, just so that like in our books and in our minds, it makes sense. And then the last thing is I did have to put $100 towards my credit card again, which I know, you guys, I know. I keep saying I need to stop spending so much on my credit card because then that could have been extra money that I wouldn't have had to put towards my credit card. As I mentioned, I did have to buy a couple of dresses and it was getting close to the time that I really needed to buy the dress for like the bridesmaid dress, just so that it comes in time and I can make sure that it fits and that I like it and I don't have to change sizes or whatever. So I did end up paying for that on my credit card. As much as I'm trying really hard to make sure that anytime I put anything on there, I'm paying it off. I mean, I'm not mad about it because I needed that dress for the wedding and I wanted to make sure it came in time. It's all preference. Like, I could have bought the dress and then took the money from my emergency fund and put it in there, like paid for it like immediately, but then like would have just put this money back into my emergency fund, or I could have just waited till I got paid and then pay off the dress. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? There's different ways you could have looked at it and done it. Like, either way, that $100 was gonna be for the dress. All of that being said, if you add all of that up, it comes to $1,237, and then if you subtract that from the number I had to budget with, which was $1,604, that does leave me with $367 for the next 2 weeks. And I'm happy to say that is a little bit higher than what I kind of have been leaving myself with, and I think that's a good thing because it does seem like I've been spending a little bit more lately, and I know that I still need like shoes for the wedding. I'm going to a bridal shower, so I need to buy a gift. I'm also going to the bachelorette party coming up. So like, having that extra money is not a bad thing in my mind, especially again this time of year. Like, we're trying to go out to eat a little bit more and go golfing a little bit more. Like, we want to also enjoy life. In the grand scheme of things, like, yes, I like to talk about money, I like to save, like I would love to invest, I would love to do all of those things, but I'm here right now, I'm living right now, and I also want to enjoy my life and do things that bring me some kind of joy. As corny and cheesy as it is, like, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. I work in radiation oncology. It really puts a lot of things into perspective for you because you're seeing like a lot of very sick people, and honestly, a lot of times a lot of people who just retired or are kind of going into early retirement because they're sick. So you're not guaranteed retirement. So if I want to go out to eat once a week, or literally we don't even do that, we go like every other week or once a month. If we want to go golfing, if we want to enjoy ourselves, like go to the movies or get ice cream, like I'm not gonna not do those things just because I'm like, oh my god, I want to use that $30 to pay off my car loan faster. Like, it's all gonna be fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's all gonna be okay. And that's just my take. I do always kind of go on these little rants like this, so if you're new, I apologize, but I like to share that perspective because sometimes I feel like when people talk about finances, it's like an all or nothing, and life is meant to live, especially with everything going on in the world, the scariness and the taxes and tariffs and Lord knows what. Like as much as, yeah, you have to think of your future and protect yourself and be smart with your money, but it's also like there's too much going on to like focus too much on it and like be that meticulous about everything. Like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. That's my 2 cents. I forgot to mention too, because sometimes I include this in like the expenses, but other times I include it after what I have left to spend because it doesn't come out yet, and it's more of like a rough estimate. But I do also have to budget for gas for the next 2 weeks, and I'm upping it a little bit. I'm gonna put 120. Lately I've been doing 100. I have been driving a little bit more on like some of my days off by going to the gym or going to like some thrift stores and stuff. I upped it just a little bit, so it's like maybe 1 more tank of gas, or like sometimes on the weekend I'm like more like half full on my gas tank, but I like to fill it so that I work Monday and Tuesday, like I can get those 2 days with a full tank of gas. So like sometimes I fill my tank, like not when it's like fully empty. So if you subtracted that from the $367, I actually have $247 for the next 2 weeks. Sometimes I just like include it in there because, again, that's an expense that comes out just like sporadically throughout the next 2 weeks. It's not like a one-time payment like a lot of these other bills and expenses. It's like something that it's like $30 here, $20 there, and it adds up. So I just sometimes keep that number included, mostly because that number stays in the checking account. And then, as I mentioned, when I'm tracking my expenses throughout the week, I use that 367. I keep it in a separate notes app on my phone. I put 367 at the top, and then say I spent $30.50 on gas. Usually it doesn't come out of my account right away. I'll put like underneath it like minus $30.50. Below that, I'll say, okay, I have $336.50 left. And then say I spend $10 on some food. Then I'll put another like minus 10, and I'll say, okay, now I have $326.50 left. That was probably confusing, but it works for me in my brain to keep track of everything. The other reason it like takes a few days sometimes to like come out of your account or my account is, and I will highly suggest this, like if you're okay at using credit cards, like I'm not pushing credit cards on anyone. Like if you're not in a spot where you can use credit cards responsibly, then like don't. But if you have a credit card, I highly suggest looking to see if you get certain points and rewards for different things, because I often use my credit card for like most purchases. One, for like kind of safety as well, because a lot of times you can dispute things if like your credit card gets stolen. It's way easier to dispute anything on your credit card. Two, I get so many points, and we have been like kind of wanting to travel but also not wanting to pay to travel. So we both have Hilton rewards cards so we can get hotels for free. I have the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, which I use for flights, and I think they're still doing their big like sign-on bonus of the year. I will link that down below because that was a great deal. Like when you sign up for the card, you can get 100,000 bonus points. And again, you get like 3 times the points or 5 times the points for gas, groceries, certain subscriptions that you would normally, like Netflix. Like I get 3 times the points for Netflix. So I hook up a lot of stuff to the credit card, and then I keep an eye on it and pay it off once the purchase, like literally almost immediately when I see the purchase in there, I will pay it off. Just something to keep in mind. Again, only if you are someone who can handle credit cards, or you're someone who's like hoping to start to get the most out of your credit cards, or like want to travel more, definitely look into the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. I've had that one for a while and I truly love it. And I've gotten like 6 or so flights like for free from using it, and it's amazing. We also used a pro tip. We used that card pretty much for all of our wedding purchases as well. And again, those were things that I was gonna pay for anyway, and we had the money saved up. And it was like, I feel like for our flowers, it was like a couple $1,000s. I put that on the card and got a couple thousand points, and then just paid off the balance because we had that money. We were saving for the wedding the whole time. Just put it on the credit card for the points and then paid off. But again, that's easier said than done, because then a lot of times it's like you end up putting more things on the credit card than you actually have the money for. And there's studies, I think, that show like when you have a credit card, you spend more than like if you didn't. I do think there's smart ways to use it, and I do think it's good to have one to build credit, and also just like literally just in case of like a true emergency where like you don't have that money right then and there. And even for me, like I have an emergency fund and I have the house saving fund. That money, it's not like super readily available. I would have to transfer it into my account, and that could take up to like 2 to 3 days or even 5 days. So it's nice to have the credit card with like a good limit, literally just in case like I need to put anything on there, and then I can figure it out later. That's my little credit card spiel. I feel like I'm going on a lot of tangents here today. Now that I'm all yapped out, let's take a look at the spreadsheet. As always, I use the Yearly 2.0 budget template by Coplenty. I will have it linked down below. I have a discount code if you want to purchase any of their templates. I love them. I feel like it helps me a lot, and it keeps everything nice and neat and perfect for me on the spreadsheet. I do typically like on a day-to-day use my phone because that's just what I have with me at all times. But then I would say maybe once a week I sit down, start adding in all of the purchases. Obviously on payday, I put in like anything that I've gotten paid, like the bills and stuff. But like once a week, typically I'll sit down and put in any expenses or purchases that were made. That way I can kind of keep track, and I'm not like at the end of the month, I'm not like, overwhelmed and putting everything in here. In Paycheck 2, we can put $1,562.57. Kind of nice. We can see here that I budgeted like $1,550. Luckily, this time I under budgeted, so we were over by like $12, which evens out because last time I overestimated how much I was gonna make, so it all evened out, which was really nice. Then down here in the expense like transaction tracker, this is where I can start putting in anything that I've paid or anything that I've saved so far. So we'll put in the $50 in the sinking fund, which I made a little separate sinking fund category so that I can keep track of that money. I like on this template that you can track the savings as well, because then it like keeps that money in that savings category. I use this mostly to track these totals here in the expense column because it helps me see how much did you spend on groceries this month? Did you overspend in shopping? Yes, the answer is almost always yes. Although all of these features are really, really nice and like aesthetically pleasing, truly what I really use this for is just to make sure overall like I'm not overspending. The other thing I can put in is the in-house fund here, and like that's pretty straightforward, so I don't need to like add any little note or anything. The cat litter charge already came out, so that goes into pets, and typically I know what this charge was, but again, sometimes I just like to put that in there so that I know what exactly it was for. And then the rest of the stuff like the rent and the groceries and the credit card, like I don't put that in here because the rent, because I pay that May 1st, that will be like the first expense in May. Add in the grocery charges like once we actually go buy the groceries. So, and then the credit card, again, this is like preference, and it's only because I want to see the categories of where the money goes. If you were to make a purchase on your credit card, there would be a way to like specify that. Like if I bought the dress on the credit card, I could put it on one of these debt categories and like put like Chase credit card. But then like I would have to then add another expense and say like, cause you'd put like negative $100 credit card and then you'd put $100 credit card. So I don't do it that way because I know I'm gonna pay it off. I like to put like $100 dress, and then I know that like I'm going to be paying that off with the money, if that makes sense. Like if I were to maybe be carrying a balance on the credit card, like that would maybe be a different story. For me, I like just to keep track of like the expenses, not necessarily which things are going on the credit card or not. And anything else that comes up, like once my subscriptions come out, I add it into here. And obviously at the end of the month, I go through and sit down with you guys when I do my monthly reset and share with you what I spent and like all the numbers and everything. So that will be so much fun. That is the budget. Also exciting news. Next month is a 3-paycheck month, so I'm so excited. Last thing I'm gonna do is a little update on my car loan. I'm really bad at remembering where I left off in my last video, so I'm not gonna do like the full spiel like I normally do. I'll just give you guys the total number of where my car loan is at. Since the last time I gave an update, I think I've put $400 towards the car loan between like a couple different payments that I got from social media and brand deals, whatever. So my grand total car loan at the moment is $10,468, which is high still, but we started out at like 18,500 or something like that, and we're getting there. We are getting there. I feel like I'll be really happy once I'm below 10,000. Like I feel like that's gonna be a good milestone, and that will definitely happen next month because again, it's a 3-paycheck month. I'm expecting maybe 2 payments for brand deals, and then also I just obviously have to make the payment, which is $332, which means like that will already bring that down to like 10,100, and then after that we'll be in the 9,000s. So I'm super excited. The reason I really want this payment gone is because when we do buy a house, that frees up like so much money for me. I could just put the payment toward, like if I really was like struggling or like needed the money, I could just be doing the payment. On average, this year, I've been putting over $1,000 towards my car every month. Just imagine if I don't have to pay that when we have a house. Like, that would be so nice. If we really needed to like get out of this apartment or like really wanted to get a house, sure, I could just do the $332 payment, prolong the loan. But that just means that I'm getting a lot more interest, and like, that's not ideal. And then I still would be having to put $332 towards the car every month. Whereas like, if I can really bear down, pay it off, and then we buy a house, I don't have to worry about any of that. No money's going towards the car unless, you know, something happens, and then I'm putting all of that money towards the house. I really am in a chatty mood today. I apologize, but I just wanted to share all that with you guys. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. I love making these videos. I love posting on social media, and I wouldn't be able to do this without, I mean, I probably would still do this even without people watching my videos, but it makes it way more fun when people watch your videos. So I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys soon in my next video.